Welcome back to Real Business Roundtable.
Yes.
Last episode, we talked about how to come up with a good business idea. And so we kind of, within that discussion, we kind of hinted at how to grow your business using digital marketing and, using the social media platforms that are available to us at our fingertips. And so I want to, that's kind of the opener today. We're going to talk about how to utilize digital marketing and how to utilize those social platforms to help grow your business.
Yeah. So the way, doing this for over 15 years, I broke it down into 3 easy to understand sections.
Mm-hmm.
These can be applied to almost any business. If you're trying to build a digital presence, you're trying to manage a landscape across search, social, content, design, all that stuff. These are the elements that you want to pay close attention to. The first key, we'll break down the 3 keys first.
Yeah.
So we'll say, basically, you want to look at your presentation, you want to look at your communication, and your visibility. Presentation, communication, visibility.
And so now when you say presentation, what exactly do you mean?
So now we're going to go deep into presentation.
Yeah.
By the way, all 3 need to be firing on all 8 cylinders, meaning it needs to be up to speed at the highest level of performance.
So what he means by that is essentially you have to stay consistent whenever you're using these platforms. And we're going to get into more strategies and stuff like that. But the biggest thing when trying to grow a following or trying to, get some traction and get true traction. What I mean by true traction is engagements, is interactions with your social platform that is going to translate into traffic to your website. It's going to translate as best as possible into sales. And so, you were saying about presentation.
Presentation.
Yeah.
So we're going to get deep into presentation. So what is presentation? Why does it matter? Why is it important? Presentation is
The theme.
Yeah. So like your design layout,
Mm-hmm.
the quality of the photos,
The color.
the quality of the graphics, the color palette. Is the design modern? Is the design inviting? Is the color palette that you're using hitting upon psychological triggers that create emotions that are in line with what you want your customers to feel? So across the board, you want your stuff to look as crisp, fresh, and modern as possible. And that comes down to, again, photos, graphics, design, layout. You want to make sure that stuff looks impressive.
Yeah.
So that mainly presentation is executed through design.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so remember, presentation equals design. The second element is communication.
Yes.
This is how we convey messages. This is how we learn things. Communication is done through multimedia content. We're talking about audio, video, graphics, and text-based media. That's how people communicate digitally. Now, audio, we have podcasts. Video, YouTube. Text, we have the text on the website, the ad copy, the web copy on the website,
Description in a platform. Yeah.
all that. And then the graphics, infographics. Are you conveying a message with a graphic? Are you creating a brand emotion or an emotion around your brand by like showing someone happy or someone with their family? Say it's a mortgage company, making people see what it would feel like to own a home, showing people like opening up the door of their new home with their family smiling. Those are the type of images that convey a message. Mm-hmm. So just remember that communication is done through multimedia content or content. So, so communication equals content. Third, and in my opinion, the most important, that's critical, is visibility.
Mm-hmm.
Visibility equals, more eyeballs on your business. So we're talking about search, social, targeted advertising, all that stuff, profile-based advertising, data-driven advertising. The more visibility you have, the more opportunities you have to drive more sales and more awareness. So when we're talking about social media, we're talking about being seen on social media, being relevant, sharing information. We're talking about search. We're talking about being found. So when somebody has intent, they find you. Now, the whole message around the importance of these 3 keys to digital success is that if you kind of step back and look at what you're doing across the whole digital landscape, make sure that you look amazing, that you're communicating the right way, and that you're highly visible. When you're doing all three at the highest level possible, you are positioned. It's not always going to be a home run, but at least you're making best efforts to be positioned for success.
Yeah, so you're talking about multimedia, and that's very important. So if you think about, a law, so to say, that people probably know about, it's the law of 7 with marketing. Is if, between the 6 point of contact, or whatever you want to call it, it's about times that person, that a prospect or a client or a customer sees your business. So essentially online, you're talking about multimedia. So that's talking about social platforms, talking about advertising, it's talking about website. It's multimedia is very important. You don't want to just go into one strategy. You don't want to just do SEO. You don't want to just do, a website. You want to have multi-platforms. You want to diversify, because if you just have one platform or one vertical within your digital landscape that you're utilizing to drive traffic, then it's not going to work as well as doing multimedia, multi-platform type of strategies.
You want a strategy which is composed of tactics that work together in order to produce a desired result. Mm-hmm. So you see a lot of entrepreneurs out there, they're like, yeah, we're doing Facebook ads. And what else? Yeah, we're just doing Facebook ads. No, you should diversify and have a strategy that is composed of both content-driven, design-driven, and visibility-driven, all together, that are working together in sync, that are going to produce a desired result.
Yeah, and so right now you might be thinking, some people that are listening and watching might be thinking, well, I don't have the money to run advertising. Well, I don't have the money to build a website. I don't have this and that. So there's many different ways for you to drive traffic on social media. There is literally multiple different platforms at the tip of our fingertips that you need to take advantage of. That is including Facebook. It's including Instagram. It's including TikTok. It's everything. There's so many different platforms you can use. And as long as you have a good content strategy, then you will naturally get you'll naturally get traffic from that strategy. So that's only if if you're just starting off, you don't have money to invest in, building a website and stuff like that. It's, you don't have too many resources. That is, I'm going to get more deeper into that further along in the conversation. Mm-hmm. But
so let's dig into communication. So when I'm talking about communicating the right way with multimedia content, you want to grab someone's attention through different ways. So you want to highlight a need or a want, grab their attention, inform them, ask them to do something, invite them to do something. So that's how you engage somebody properly with content. Also, on a landing page with content, you want to facilitate the decision-making process. You want to guide them through the funnel or the landing page or whatever. You want to guide them to end up doing what you want them to do. So you don't want to lead with like flat statements, platitudes, crap. I've been in business for this many years. That's great, but that's good as a follow-up validation after they've already basically been converted and they're like, oh, wow, I'm really interested. That's like a follow-up. Some people lead with those follow-up those questions. You have to hit upon a need or a want on the top fold of your landing page. And this is when we're breaking down content. You guys probably see commercials or ads and they ask you a question. And you're like, yeah, I can relate to that. Yeah, I want to lose weight. Yeah, I want to do this. Do you want this? Have you heard of this? That's how someone leans in and then they go further. You inform them and then you invite them with a clear call to action. Yeah.
That's how I was going to get into that.
In sync. When it comes to design, if you're short on cash or whatever and stuff like that, you can like use resources like Fiverr.
There's many resources. You don't even need to use Fiverr. Let's say you have no money to create graphic designs. You want to get stuff out there. Canva is an amazing tool. And this is not a sponsorship. I use them on a daily basis, including Fiverr. Fiverr you got to pay for, and it's great. But Canva is an amazing tool. It's very easy, drag and drop, copy and paste type of platform. I've used it before to create advertising. I use it for Instagram graphics. I use it for majority of everything. I don't use it for everything. There's other platforms, but that's a great resource for you to use when you want to create graphics.
Yeah, and there are other tools out there. You don't have to just use Canva, but if you're not a graphic artist and you're kind of tight on cash, you can use tools like that.
It's
You
very
can research
simple to
other
use.
tools,
Yep.
things that will add like cool text overlay to graphics and things like that. And even though I'm not a fan of do-it-yourself websites, just to get going, use a do-it-yourself website. When you build up enough cash flow and revenue in the business, then invest in a proper, say, WordPress build-out, a quality website that's going to rank on Google, that's going to show up. You're going to attract tons of business. It's going to show up when someone has intent.
Yeah.
That piece right there, a lot of people will discount. They'll think, oh, the only way I can get visibility is I run ads. No,
not
There's
at
an
all. There's plenty of
organic reach on Google big time. So
Not even on Google. There's plenty of organic reach everywhere.
on certain
everywhere.
social media.
As long as you, we'll get into that, but as long as you're consistent, as long as you have, use the right strategies, there's traffic everywhere. There's engagement everywhere.
Yeah. Let's talk about, aside from Canva, let's talk about photos. iPhones take great photos. There are apps like Photo Room on iPhone where you can take a photo and you can edit it right on there if you want quality photography on your media.
Yeah, I mean, you can use. There's so many different. I mean, Canva. I'm gonna bring it up again. Canva's a great place to edit photos. There's Lightroom. There's so many, and they're all free for the most part.
And when you're trying to, put a business together, or if you have a business and you're thinking of the colors to use, just refer to like they're free online. You can see them. There's books, just color indexes, psychological triggers associated with certain color palettes. A lot of people just discount this. They don't know about it.
Yeah.
It's very important. So if you look at different industries, they'll use certain blends of certain colors because those colors trigger emotion.
Yeah.
And people buy on emotion. And if that emotion is lined up with the product or service that you provide, you want them to feel that emotion so they're in the right place, in the right mindset that are in line with them doing business with you.
Yeah.
Just because you like the color pink doesn't mean you should make your brand around pink.
No.
There's nothing wrong with that, but will it be conducive to success? You may hinder you a little bit. So you want to make sure you're following proper color palette.
Yeah, and so when you're building your website and when you are setting up your social platforms and you're getting all of the different platforms together, like I said, the multimedia, multi-platform strategy, it's very powerful. You need to have many different platforms. Take advantage of all the platforms, but make sure that they follow the same exact color theme. So what I'll do is, let's say you're using Canva, and you have chosen a color theme that you would like for your business. What you would do is you can grab a white, just like a white canvas, so to say, in any of these editing platforms. And what you do is you grab the different colors of your theme and you put blotches of those colors, kind of like a paint card. Mm-hmm. You take those colors and you put it on the piece of, on the canvas. And then you use those in every single editing platform that you have, for example, Canva. And then you can just, pick the color and use it for the logo, for the graphic design, for everything, but always stick to that theme. Never change it up, because when you have that color coordination on any platform, it looks really good. It's very catchy to the eye. It looks very aesthetic.
Now I'm going to get into visibility a little bit, and this is for do-it-yourselfers, and then we're going to get into recommendations to existing companies that can afford to hire somebody, what I would recommend them doing. But what we're talking about right now is more just bootstrap, how to do it on your own. So for visibility, when you're building your website, make sure that the titles of the pages are related to the keywords you're assigning to the pages. So what are keywords? And I know there's probably tons of people watching that know, but people that might not know, your keywords are like based on what people actually say in their phone, like, hey, pizza shop near me, or, hardware store near me, or whatever. That's what they're searching on their phone. Sometimes desktop, but most searches are done on phone. You want to make sure that those words and the best words are applied to your website's titles, meta description, the content file name within the pages appropriately. And here's another important tip. If you provide multiple products or multiple product categories, break your website up based on those categories. Do not splatter all your services and all your product categories on one page. Mm-hmm. If you do in more of a directory, make sure those are linked to inner pages about those product categories. So you want to break it. So let's say you're an auto repair shop. You do brake repair, tires, tune-ups, etc. You need a page for brakes, tires, tune-ups, etc. So you need pages for each one. So right when they come to the page, the title is related to tires. The content is related to tires. A really good analogy that I give people to better understand how to properly structure your website for organic visibility, not paid. What I'm recommending is for people to follow best practices this way and to fully understand it. Pretend you're in a grocery store. I always give people the grocery store analogy. Let's say you want to buy a box of cereal. When you walk into the grocery store, you look at the aisle and the aisle sign. The aisle sign has the description or the title of what's in that aisle. You want to buy a box of Cheerios. You go in, boom, cereal. You go in the aisle, you grab the Cheerios, you validated it's there, you're a happy customer, you leave. Google does the same thing on your website. It's going into your page based on what it read on your title, and it's validating and identifying what the page is about. Now, let's say you put tires, brakes, alignment, all this stuff on that page with no link to a focus page. You just diluted yourself. You're confusing the hell out of Google, and now you're not as relevant as the next guy trying to get first page visibility. So what I always recommend people to do is just imagine your website's a grocery store. Break up all the services, break up all the product categories, and pretend it's its own grocery store aisle. That's like the best mindset when you're building a website. That's the best mindset to follow, because those keywords that you're going after, you need to make sure each page is focused on one area of the business.
Yeah.
Now, if you do one thing, okay, great, put that one thing. But if you have multiple sections of the business, break the website up into its own pages based on either the services or product categories. Mm-hmm. Very, very important.
So that's a good, that's all SEO, search engine optimizing type of strategies for the website. Mm-hmm. Now, let's talk about what do you have next to talk about?
So if you want to talk about social visibility a little bit, but also the organic reach on Google is very important. If you want to avoid,
so that ties in right to the website. So
you want to avoid obscurity by all means. So if somebody has intent and they need what you provide, make sure that they can find you.
Yeah. So you want to talk a little bit about like social media and stuff like that?
So for social media, you want to use the proper hashtags.
Yeah. So
you've been kicking ass at TikTok. So we got TikTok, and a lot of that traffic right now is organic.
So, yeah. So if you're trying to figure out a way to gather as much organic traffic as possible to your product, service, show, whatever it may be, you need to take advantage of the platforms that we have at the tip of our fingertips. Like I mentioned before, there's billions of users that are available and there and active. And so, yes, there's the hashtag strategy that's very important for organic. It's kind of like imagine SEO on social media.
Exactly.
You're using these tags to put your photo on different sections of that platform. But when you're setting up your platforms, when you're setting up your accounts for your business, you need to set up an account for majority of the platforms available. So like I said before, Instagram is a very big one. TikTok is a very, very big one. Twitter, you need Pinterest, like all of the different platforms. And essentially what you do is you gather a good amount of content and you get a bunch of, let's say you want to, I'm going to use this as an example, right? So what we do is we grab a video or clips from our podcast, and then we spread them out all over the place, multi-platform strategy. And so essentially a video goes on Instagram, it goes on Facebook, it goes on TikTok, it goes on Rumble, it goes on, I can't even keep track of them.
There's a ton of them.
There's a ton of them, but if you do that and you stay consistent, so let's say you do a video a day and a photo a day, you're getting your content, your product. It could be a video of a product too. You're getting it everywhere, and it's going to create traction. There's traction from every single platform.
So mainly we harvest customers or awareness or attention or traffic from search and social. Now both search and social can be organic. It can be paid. You can boost posts. You can pay for clicks on Google. Just know that is the visibility portion, the main hub, if you will, that's going to drive the eyeballs to the business. When they are driven there, they then land on a page or whatever. They are engaged with content, whether it be video, graphics, text-based media, or audio, whatever. They're engaged with the content. They see the design. They're immersed in your proper color palette, quality photos. They're being impressed. You know, I strongly recommend video banners on websites.
Video, yeah.
That is the most engaging top fold element that you can have on a website.
Videos are 1,000 times more engaging than photos. But you got to take advantage of both.
When people see some of our clients' work and they see those video banners and how engaging they are, they're like, wow, I want that for my business. I have a static image. And I say, exactly, it's more engaging, it's exciting. Say it's a restaurant, you show like the food coming hot out, or someone's plate coming up, or a customer all happy, or someone getting dessert or something like that, real high energy, someone getting a drink. That element takes them into the business without even being there. And that's the level of engagement you want on your website.
Yeah.
So you have the visibility that draws them in to be engaged with content, and then they're immersed within the design quality, the presentation. All three, when you have all of those elements that are working together, you're set up for success. Now, let me give you another analogy. We run into a lot of people who have paid a lot of money for a website or whatnot, quality website, but they're like, I'm just not getting the traffic. So they think, oh, I just got to do some AdWords. What happens there is, I always give people the analogy of a hot dog cart in the middle of the woods. You got your guy selling hot dogs.
Yeah.
He's got a shiny hot dog cart all filled with hot dogs. And he's like, hey, anybody want hot dogs? And then like, I always thought of a commercial doing this. Like, hey, anybody, hot dogs.
Yeah.
And then like the screen backs out. Maybe we can film this. The screen backs out and you see a squirrel run by. You hear like birds tweeting.
Like a chirp. Yeah.
Hot dogs, hot dogs. That's an example of someone who has a badass website, even with great content, but nobody sees it. When you implement SEO or paid ads or aggressive social strategy, now you're on Main Street. Hot dogs,
Times
and you
Square.
see cars and people driving by. Oh my God, I thought of this commercial 10 years ago. I've been wanting to produce it. So, you know, make yourself visible.
Yeah.
You know, very, very important. Or here's another thing. Someone who has a nice design, nice color palette, they're doing a shitload of SEO, but the content is not engaging whatsoever. It looks like almost like all jumbled up like Craigslist, and you're like, what? It's not designed in a way to communicate with you to get you to make a decision. So it's about facilitating the decision-making process with the right content. Remember, interrupt with a need or a want, inform about who you are, and then invite with a clear call to action. That's what it's about. So you sometimes see a lot in business where someone's like, yeah, I got a website. And it's like, well, how much business are you generating with that website? Is the website working for you? Is it accomplishing what you want to achieve? And that's when one of the three keys are missing. So you have a guy that has a nice website with horrible content. You have a guy that has a horrible website that has badass visibility, but he's losing some of that business because his website looks like shit. So you have shitty websites that rank really well. When you just do all three, now there's no excuse why you did not make the best effort possible to do the best you can digitally.
Yeah.
That's what it's about. It's making sure all three are on point. Now, we want to get into not just the bootstrapping, the existing small businesses.
So I just want to kind of make a point. We're talking about all these different strategies and stuff like this. Essentially, what you want to do when you're trying to market your company. We keep saying it, multi-platform, multimedia, you got to diversify. If you have a website and an Instagram page, you're going to get some traction, but if you have good content, if you have good writing, it's a good theme, you're going to get some traction. But now diversify, take advantage of every single platform available. Even if your demographic is not necessarily on a certain platform, you still want to get some stuff out there because it's there. People are going to see it. You never know. And it doesn't cost you anything. It might cost you some time, but the time is worth it.
It's an investment.
It's 100%. An investment on your business. Take advantage of everything out there and then post every single day. There's literally applications, there's websites that you can go on and let's say you grab a photo and a video. and you can plan them out to post on every single platform. On Instagram, you can post it and then it posts right to Facebook. You just got to get it out. You got to get it out there. The more platforms you have, the better off you are.
Another thing I want to talk about is tactical versus strategic. There's a big difference. So a lot of people they'll try things. Like I tried Facebook, that didn't work. Well, in today's world, Facebook is essential. Mm-hmm. In today's world, it's an essential. It's as important as your lights, your water, your electricity, your rent. On your P&L statement as a small business owner, you need to add your digital, your essential. That's where all the eyeballs are. That's where everybody's looking. That's where almost everybody uses it as a resource, whether it's search or social. It is an essential. So people like, oh yeah, I tried that. And I say, and you stopped? That's still an essential. That's still relevant in today's world. Maybe running an ad some way, somewhere on an industry relevant website, run it for 90 days, say an industry blog or a forum. That's the stuff you try. But your essentials, your digital landscape, search, social content, all that stuff, that is a living, breathing organism that runs for the life of your business. And people just think like, oh, I can just try that. No, that is your foundation. Yeah. Anything above that, like AI-driven data, paid ads, advertising on a radio, like a Pandora or something like that, like, digital radio, whatever. Yeah, those are add-ons of things you can try. But you always, in today's world, your natural foundation, your digital landscape needs to be on your P&L as a fixed overhead cost. Time and time again, I run into business owners who don't think this way, and it sounds crazy to me, but I am here to educate. So I try to coach them and educate them on the importance of your digital landscape, and it's an investment. Mm-hmm. First year, second year, third year, you watch that thing just naturally grow and grow and grow. We've seen amazing results from organic. You don't have to run a ton of ads.
You don't have to run a ton of ads at all.
Now, if time is the issue and you're like, shit, I'm doing 3 million now. I want to do 5 million literally in a year.
If you have the money to run ads, I mean, it doesn't even have to be that. You can run ads.
But you can do something super basic. You can hire a team internally. You can hire consultants. You can hire an agency and just get it all done and all managed for you. But it's not a temporary thing. It's a multi-tiered strategy.
Yes. What we should do in another episode is, I just thought of this when you said that, we should talk about how to vet out the agency that you're going to work with, how to understand if they're going to do a good job.
Yeah, I just recently ran into this. You can see, like, if you just look at some other companies' work. So say there's an industry focused company and all they work with is automotive repair. And then you look at their cookie cutter websites that everyone has basically the same looking website. And then you notice like, oh my God, they don't even have a blog. What? They don't, wait, hold on, Mr. Business Owner. You're saying that they're doing SEO for you. I don't see a blog. All your titles are the same. Your meta descriptions are empty. What's going on? And they're like, well, I thought this company was the best. This, and you're like, you see this work and you're just kind of shocked. So, there are ways to properly vet an agency.
And let's save that for another episode.
We can make a whole episode out of that.
That's what I'm going to say. We should do that. I don't want to talk about it now. We should do that because that's very important when you're in a position in your business where you think that you've done everything organic, you want to keep going, you want to push a little bit harder with your social or with your digital efforts, you want to reach out to an agency to help you out with that, and that's a whole other process. Let's keep that for an episode where we can talk about how to find the best person to work with you, and we'll give you some tips on what strategy to look out for to see if they're doing it. Ask them like hard questions that they don't expect you to know, because I know in our situation when someone asks me a question where it's like, oh, that's what you're talking about, it says a lot.
It's really sad when you see somebody who has a website already made and they're like, I just had a website made. And you look at it and you're like, I got to trash this thing. I'll usually try to figure something out to help them out because, like, say they spent an exorbitant amount of money to have it built. I'll see all the mistakes and the issues and I'm like, all right, I'll try to work something out with the client. But there are key things that you have to look at. And not everybody's not an expert. Like we we wouldn't have a business if everybody was an expert. They need to hire an expert. So that's a very important thing, is to pick the right option. And if you're going to build an in-house team, this is very important. If you're going to build an in-house team to manage your presentation, your communication, and your visibility, that's great. But you have to hire the right people with the right qualifications, and you have to make sure that you know how to properly vet those professionals.
So the next episode, we're going to talk about that. We
Absolutely,
can talk about that
I'm
because
down.
that's very important. And, I feel like a lot of business owners, a majority of the people who are watching us a lot of them are business owners. And I think that that's very important to understand. But let's get back to...
So let's talk about the fourth key, which is something that's different than the three keys, and it's something more modern. We're talking to a lot of companies now that have a data budget.
Okay, so moving into this is for someone who is spending money in advertising. This is someone who's been established, who, like I said, who's spending money, and this is a way to essentially, we touched on this before, but it's a way to essentially make sure that your advertising is as efficient as possible.
Yeah, so data is one of the biggest commodities right now. Data is plentiful. It's extremely accurate. It's almost creepy how accurate the data can get.
Yeah.
And, what is data? What is data to a business? Why is it important?
Yeah, we're not talking about behavioral, like we're not talking about what kind of data you get for, just running advertising on Facebook or running advertising on Google. We're talking about accessing data outside of these platforms to create an audience
and to drive efficiency and performance.
Yes.
And we are seeing an increase in companies that now have a data budget. So when you're talking about the keys to success with digital, now in today's world, now I feel that data is the fourth key if you want to drive the most performance from those three keys. So now we got four keys that are working together simultaneously, because why would you not use the right data? Now, you have different forms of data. You have raw data that you can purchase from, different aggregators. You can say, hey, I want to get a list of people that like to play tennis. You can get that data, and you can add that audience to your advertising or whatever. You can try to get opt-ins and things like that. But then you have compartmentalized data and sorted data. Then you have live data from active, ready buyers. So you want to be very careful on how to properly screen your data product that you're using in order to properly target those customers.
Or your data provider, your data sources. It's very important to understand your data sources.
Yeah, unfortunately, like with it, some people, not everybody's an expert, but sometimes they say, okay, we got lookalike audiences, we have live ready buyers, we have lookalike audiences that, let's say, fit a different profile or whatever, or a different demographic or something like that. But you want to look at those things. The main piece that I recommend looking at is finding a data provider that will give you live, active customer data from prospective customers that are ready to buy. Mm-hmm. That is the key.
Yeah.
The lookalike audiences is a plus, but also analytics on the past behavior on those live, ready buyers in order to decide whether or not, are they a good fit? Or do they have the budget? Can they afford it? So there are data products out there that go extremely deep and wide. Unfortunately, those technologies are not available to the masses, as you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is available and it is out there.
Yeah.
So just to kind of back up a little bit, to talk, in simpler terms. So when you think about running advertising on Facebook, Google, whatever, you go in there and you create an audience. So what you're doing is you're essentially setting up, your demographic, who you want to target. So there's options there. There's going to be, their income, if they own a house, if they have kids, if they're, whatever it may be. It's information about the people who you want to target to make it a little bit more pinpointed. But the problem with that type of marketing is you're essentially taking money and you're throwing it, and you're hoping that it picks the right people, and those people are normally tire kickers. They don't, it's not accurate at all. So what we're talking about now is, instead of, setting up barriers, setting up different behaviors and choosing attributions about the people that you want to target, you're using data from different sources online in order to create an audience that you upload into those platforms, rather than choosing an audience within that platform.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I just wanted to kind of, I wanted people to understand exactly what we're talking
And
about.
make sure you're exploring the importance of, customer data in real time in your universe. Whether you sell nationally, locally, or regionally, you want to make sure that you're exploring how you can access the right data to get the most out of your advertising and your efforts. Because there are customers that want your product or service, but it would be great to know when they want that product or service. And that's the day and age that we're in now.
Yeah, data. There's different forms of data. There's different types of data. And essentially it goes from behavioral, what people are searching online, which you can normally get with Google. And then it gets really, really deep, where then you start getting more data sources from different websites and from different sources. And then it gets a little bit deeper, where you start, getting information from voice data, and it just deeper and deeper and deeper.
Yeah, and you also want to pay attention if you're exploring customer data. You want to find out right away how many people are tapping into this data.
Yeah,
it's the same thing as buying a shared lead. Oh,
Yeah.
I paid $10 for this, but you got 1,000 people calling them. Then you're just a needle in a haystack.
Yeah.
You want to try to explore something that's exclusive.
This is starting to get into more about just data and using advertising rather than.
That's the more modern.
Yeah.
That's the more modern piece that I think
That
people
people
need
don't-
to be educated about is how many people are tapping into this data. So if you sell tennis rackets and you provided a list of people that like tennis or have purchased tennis equipment in the last 6 months and are likely to buy more, how many people are tapping into this data? There are data technologies out there that are all AI driven that will give you exclusivity. You're going to pay more for that exclusivity, but it gives you first access to those customers. And it's really important to keep that in mind. You don't want to get access to data that 1 million people are hitting.
That's a good point.
It's no longer effective.
That's a good point. So, you're going to find, and again, let's talk about this more when we talk about vetting, different sources and services. But, when you're looking for data, and at the start of your journey into this very convoluted industry of data, there's companies who provide, data to everyone. It's open source. It's open to the public. But then there's more exclusive data where it's not as saturated. It's not available. You have to pay to get in. You have to pay to get it. And that comes with exclusivity. Yes, it's more expensive, but you are the only one getting that type of data. And normally it's very, very effective and efficient data that you're getting.
Yeah, heavy duty technology and data like that is just, it's used by the big boys, the big guys, the publicly traded companies, and they don't talk about what they're using really. They kind of keep that under the vest, and they're very, very quiet about it. But there's grumblings about who has the best data, who has the best customer tracking technology and all this stuff. So that's one thing to keep in mind, that if it's an off the shelf software with a pretty logo, and you can see that customer's information right off the jump, that is probably not going as deep and wide as you want to go.
But in some situations, that is exactly what businesses need, at least to introduce themselves into taking advantage of, because normally it's just, you're getting used to, you're starting to understand how data works, and sometimes that works for people. But I don't want to get too far into this.
Sure.
I want to kind of let's kind of go back and talk about what we kind of went over when utilizing your digital landscape, and we're
So
getting
just to wrap this up, guys, you want to remember your business needs to have a proper presentation with quality design. You want to communicate effectively with multimedia content that will engage, that will facilitate a decision-making process, that will interrupt them, that will inform them, and hopefully get them to take action with a proper CTA. Lastly, we want to make sure that your business has the highest level of visibility on search and social. That's where we harvest customers from. You want to be seen on social media, and you want to be found on search. And last, the bonus key is having the right customer data, so your advertising, you get the most juice out of the squeeze.
Yeah. I just want to top it off. Like I said before, you got to take advantage of every single platform. Diversify. Get everywhere, because the more likely that you have all these platforms and you're posting on all these platforms and you're advertising on all these platforms, you're going to get more eyes.
Yeah, and if anybody has any questions, just leave a comment or whatever.
Or DM us on Instagram, and that leads me right.
We're here to help.
Yeah, that leads me right to closing it off, which we got to work on. But thank you so much for joining us today. This was we've been getting really good at this. I feel more comfortable being here. But
yeah, it's smoother.
But yeah, follow us on Instagram for any updates. Subscribe, like this video if you enjoyed listening to us today. We're found on YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, everywhere. Like I said before, we are everywhere.
Yes, sir.
Peace out.